All right, listen up. My name is Luke Angus. Out here, your gear can mean the difference between life and death. But what happens when the equipment you're told to trust is utterly useless? Today, we're diving into the real-world experiences of ex-soldiers who know what works and what's just dead weight. You'll hear first-hand accounts of gear that looked good on paper but was a nightmare in the field. We're peeling back the curtain on the most surprisingly useless military equipment ever issued. Let's get into it. First up, the Standard Issue Individual First Aid Kit, or IFAK. You'd expect a first aid kit to be a lifeline, but the reality? The contents were so basic they were nearly useless in real combat. Imagine being under fire, opening your IFAK and finding only tiny bandages and wipes, nothing to stop a serious bleed. The kit was designed for playground scrapes, not battlefield trauma. Soldiers quickly learned not to trust it. The sense of betrayal was real. Many started building their own trauma kits, buying real tourniquets, Israeli bandages, and hemostatic agents out of pocket. The issued IFAK became just a shell for the gear that could actually save lives. One combat medic told me he watched soldiers panic as their standard dressing soaked through instantly during a mass casualty event. He had to use his own personal gear to save lives because the issued kits failed. The lesson: never trust issued kit blindly. Test it, and if it's not up to the task, replace it. The IFAK's inadequacy was dangerous, creating a false sense of security. Soldiers adapted, sharing knowledge and pooling resources to get proper supplies. The official pouch stayed for regulations, but inside was a completely different story. It was a testament to soldier ingenuity and commitment to each other. In survival, you are your own first responder. Know your gear's limitations and be ready to improvise. The soldiers learned this the hard way. You can't just carry the gear, you have to make sure it works. That's the essence of survival. Next, let's talk about night vision goggles, NVGs. The promise: own the night. The reality for many? A green-tinted tunnel vision nightmare. Using early NVGs was like looking through toilet paper tubes. Tiny, grainy circles of vision, everything else black. You lost all peripheral awareness, making it easy to miss threats. Navigating terrain became treacherous. Soldiers tripped, fell, and got disoriented. The constant green glow caused eye strain and headaches. Depth perception, gone. Judging distance was nearly impossible. One soldier walked straight into a doorframe during a night op, nearly compromising his squad. Many learned to flip their NVGs up in tight spaces, relying on touch and memory. Sudden light, like a flare, could blind you for critical seconds. The weight and awkward mounts strained necks and required constant adjustment. It was gear you fought with, not gear that helped. Modern NVGs are better, but for a generation, the old ones were a liability. Soldiers adapted, relying on teamwork and fieldcraft to overcome the tech's flaws. On clear nights, many trusted their own eyes over the issued NVGs. The lesson: technology is only as good as its real-world performance. When it fails, you adapt. The best soldiers learn to work around the gear, not depend on it. Sometimes less is more. Trust your instincts and your training. Let's talk about the portable stove. Supposed to bring comfort with a hot meal. The issued foldable stove, fueled by hexamin tablets, was a disaster. Lighting the tablets in wind or rain was nearly impossible. When they did light, they produced foul smoke. Terrible for stealth and morale. The heat output? Pathetic. Boiling water was a test of patience and luck. Most ended up with lukewarm, chemical-tasting water. The stoves were flimsy, warping after a few uses and often collapsing at the worst moment. Many soldiers watched their meals spill into the dirt as the stove gave out. The sticky residue left behind was nearly impossible to clean. Soldiers quickly ditched the issued stove for commercial options like Jetboil, faster, cleaner, and reliable. The difference in morale was huge. The issued stove became a symbol of out-of-touch procurement. It was heavy, messy, and barely worked. Soldiers learned to source their own gear for comfort and efficiency. The quest for a hot meal became another lesson in self-reliance. If you want something done right, do it yourself. The portable stove wasn't just useless, it inspired ingenuity. Adaptation became the norm. The best solutions came from the field, not the supply chain. Comfort is earned, not issued. Boots, your most important piece of personal gear. The standard issue heavy boots were a menace. Designed as a one-size-fits-all solution, they excelled in none. Heavy, rigid, and all leather, they required a painful break-in period. Soldiers endured blisters and raw skin, hoping the boots would eventually fit. The weight and stiffness drained energy and slowed movement, especially in tough terrain. In hot climates, they trapped sweat, causing blisters and fungal infections. In wet or cold, they soaked up water and took days to dry, risking frostbite. The boots were supposed to be all-weather but failed in both heat and cold. Stories of foot misery were universal, waterlogged, numb feet after long patrols. Many soldiers bought their own lightweight boots from brands like Loa or Salomon. The difference was staggering: light, supportive, and comfortable. Wearing them felt like unlocking a cheat code for rucking. The issued boots showed a failure to consider the human factor. Painful feet meant less effective soldiers. Durability was prioritized over comfort and performance. The lesson: gear must serve the user, not just survive the elements. Soldiers learned to invest in their own comfort. The right boots can make or break a mission. Never underestimate the power of good footwear. Finally, let's look at personal camouflage netting. Intended to conceal, it was bulky, heavy, and took up precious space. Most soldiers ditched it as soon as possible. When used, it snagged on everything: gear, weapons, branches, even your own uniform. Deploying it was a noisy, tangled mess, hardly stealthy. The synthetic strips sometimes reflected light, making you more visible. Hessian versions absorbed water, becoming heavy and smelly, and were flammable. One veteran recalled a training exercise where the netting caused so much noise and movement, they were spotted before they finished setting up. Soldiers found natural vegetation far more effective for camouflage. A few branches tucked into your gear worked better, weighed nothing, and matched the environment perfectly. The camo net became a symbol of impractical design. Real concealment came from fieldcraft, not issued kit. The best camouflage is what nature provides. The lesson: use what the environment gives you. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best. So there you have it, first aid kits that couldn't stop a bleed, boots that crippled feet, and more. In high-stakes environments, you can't afford blind faith in your equipment. The real asset is adaptability and ingenuity. When gear fails, resilience takes over. Got your own story about useless kit? Share it in the comments. If you enjoyed this look behind the curtain, hit subscribe for more on military gear and survival. Stay prepared, stay resilient, and I'll see you on the next one.